Have you been in the car when Nigerians are driving in Canada?
I'll say yes.
Oh my god. They say act like, they'll stop, but they'll be insulting the pedestrian. Is it pass now? Is it your father's road? I've experienced that. They're like, don't worry, it's because we're in Canada. You tell me if you should do that in your father's car. Oh my god, it's so funny.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Grace. Here at The Nook, I provide you with a variety of content around product design and lifestyle. So today's video is a lifestyle content. We're talking about culture shock. So culture shock as a Nigerian living in Canada. And I have here with me a friend of mine who is going to join me to deep dive this topic. And her name is Anita. Please make welcome my guest, Anita.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Grace.
Your channel?
Alright. I was just kidding. My name is Anita and welcome back to The Nook with Grace Mary.
So when I moved to Canada earlier last year around March, for those of you who do not know, I moved, right? And after a couple of months, actually barely 4 weeks, I called my sister to tell her that I'm coming back to Nigeria on a visit. The truth is that I didn't have plenty money or anything though, but I was experiencing culture shock. So for those of you who probably do not know the meaning of culture shock, Anita here is going to be explaining what culture shock is.
Culture shock is the way you feel due to change of environment. So in our own case now, we used to live in Nigeria and we relocated to Canada. So we're basically going to be telling you our experiences and the way we felt experiencing that experience.
Culture shock describes the impact of moving from a familiar culture to one that is unfamiliar. So this might include shock from new environment, meeting lots of new people and learning ways of a new country.
Don't worry, we're going to be telling you guys basically our culture shock due to
the change
in our environment.
And before we go into the video proper, I know you're waiting guys, go into the video. I want to hear the gist, right? But I'll just tell you how myself and Anita know each other. So we went to the same high school, and after graduating we had no contact whatsoever. And guess what? When we came to Canada last year, we bumped into each other. Imagine.
It was unexpected.
Unexpected.
When you go to a gathering, you just be like, oh, I'm going to and you're like, oh, Grace.
But that's how basically we reconnected, and ever since then,
we'll be chilling. Okay.
The first thing I think I want us to talk about is the weather. It's obvious, but let's start there. And then before we go into other variety of items, how did you feel any sort of culture shock when you came in terms of the weather? Okay,
so for me, I came in summer, in the middle of summer. So it was not it was cold, but I've experienced cold before, so it wasn't the way how they say Canada is cold. So it wasn't cold for me. I think I landed in a short sleeve.
Oh, shit.
And it wasn't so it wasn't so bad. But there are some days even in summer, you open the door, you're like, you be like, is this the summer? I thought summer was hot.
No, for me, my experience was different. I came in March. So luckily enough, my sister came to pick me up from the airport, and I told her to bring jacket because I wasn't having any. I wasn't taking chances. So when I stepped out of the airport, right, she had not given me the jacket. I was so cold, but luckily enough, I jumped into the car, wore the jacket, and even when I got home, because I think it had snowed a couple of days before that, so it was really cold. Yeah. But then for me, I think it's the extremity in the weather. So today it's really hot, tomorrow it's really cold. The weather in Canada is confused. Some days you're just okay, it's summer, but it's winter, right? And then next day you're like,
and this year in particular, I don't think the winter came early enough.
Yeah, I think they said this year the winter has really been warm, so we're fortunate.
I'm this is warm.
For me, I think I came with this, okay, with that here, she is this winter, we bought all the gas, but then I'm like, okay, it's not as cold as they say it is.
Yeah,
but
it's really
I think
not
it's
as cold.
no, I think it's just this year's winter has been really forgiving. That and then for us in Toronto, it's good because
it's good for us. Yeah.
So guys, a tip: if you are moving to Canada, come to Toronto.
Don't listen to Grace. Go to wherever everywhere is cold, so just go to wherever you feel you can manage.
You know, you might go to a place that you see the snow will be like this high. So come to Toronto.
But people are living there.
People are living there. So the advantage.
A lot of Nigerians are even living in those areas.
Yeah. That kind of brings me naturally to the next thing I was going to say, talking about another thing that shocked me.
Yeah.
Taxes.
Let's never go into that.
But the reason why I want to talk about that is if you live in Toronto, you're going to pay higher taxes. And if you live elsewhere, you'll probably not be paying like HST. Is it HST?
HST.
Yeah, you won't be paying HST. So
yeah, because I think the colder areas have lower tax.
Yeah.
Than the, like Alberta, Saskatchewan, like their tax is like I think 5% or 10%.
Yeah.
Ontario we pay 13%.
Yeah. So I guess it's a trade-off. So when you come here, you have better weather,
pick your
but
hustle.
you would pay more taxes.
Yeah.
And then another thing is when you pay higher taxes, you're just like, okay, I'm paying for the weather. That's what I tell myself, that I'm paying for the weather. And then even deep diving more into like taxes. So
what was your first experience when you went shopping in Canada?
No, for me it wasn't really bad because I'd already experienced like the extra taxes that comes with shopping, so it was expected. So I'm just like, okay.
I didn't. So let me tell you guys, when I went shopping the first time, when like they have like prices on the counter, like on the shelves. I mean to say, like when you want to buy something, you see the price. You do like mental calculation. Okay, this is going to be my final cost of what I'm buying,
like the bill.
And then I went to the till and the lady gave me, I'm like when she gave me, I was not calculating, but when she gave me my receipt, I was
what happened?
But I did not buy, like, this is what this, she didn't say tax. I now looked closely, I saw HST and it's like 13%.
13%.
And you're like,
guys, when you go shopping, just make sure that you're doing that calculation.
That was crazy for me. I didn't find it funny, but I'm adjusting.
Yeah, for me it wasn't unexpected because I already knew that happens in the US and Canada. But of course, I was also using like UKI. So usually, sometimes I forget, and I'm like,
in the UK, do they put their tax?
No, it's combined.
Yeah.
So I think most of like UK and some places in Europe is all combined. But then when you move to North America, it's a different ball game altogether. Yeah. So when I'm buying things, even though the price is saying like $30. I'm just calculating, okay, this is not really like 35. So that's one thing that is really annoying. And then also, when you got your first paycheck, how did you feel?
So, first things first. One of the good feelings working in Canada, it varies company by company. But my company, they pay us like bi-weekly. That's twice a month. Like, every 2 weeks we receive our pay. Back in Nigeria, it's like we're in January now, and back in Nigeria, you know how January used to be now.
January was like the longest month ever.
It's long, and your December fee has finished. But I think this is helpful for us over here because you're like, okay, in 2 weeks time I'll receive small cash that I can still use to hold body before month end. So that's a very good thing, in my opinion. Yeah,
I actually like that. Mine was by semi-monthly, but now that I've moved to Yale, we now do bi-weekly, and I love that I can plan in a 2 week span versus like a month span. So yeah, but initially when I came, I was still using that 1 month planning.
Yeah, me too. I still even do it because sometimes I'll be like when I get my pay, I run like savings. I'll be like, why am I removing this much? Another one is coming, so let me reduce it. We're still in the same month. Let me still reduce. I'm still like adjusting to that. But yeah, talking of workplace, so like for taking vacations, that's one thing I want to talk about. Like back in Nigeria, I mean the process in fact.
Okay.
Like back in Nigeria, when you want to take leave, you have conscience, something that you're entitled to You want to go and meet your manager, you talk to your colleagues first, like,
You think?
you know what I'm saying? Do you think you even lie that what? And they will be asking you, why are you taking your leave? Where I work, we don't even speak to our managers. Like, we take our leave from an application, like it just directs it to the manager. Even like last year, when it was like towards the end of last year, they were telling us, take your leave, take your leave.
Yeah.
Like, there's communication around, like you receive emails on Outlook and Teams, like, have you guys taken your leave? Like, take your leave. But Nigeria like this,
Because I was a small business owner back in Nigeria, so I can't really relate.
Yeah. See, even communicating, so, this is long. Back in Nigeria, I used to have like email anxiety because of like the work environment I used to be in. And it was really, like, I wouldn't say it was really bad, but it wasn't good for me, even for my mental health. Like, after work like this, you receive email and you will see, I'll be like, hey God, what does this man want again?
Yeah.
Like, you'll be overthinking things.
Now that you said this, there's this what they call the right to disconnect. So it's more or less like a right of an employee to not to respond to emails after work hours. So it's official, guys. So in Nigeria, if you do not respond to that email,
see, like, oh no, but working here is very chill. Like, is just know what you're doing.
There's something like I wanted us to talk about, which is diversity.
Oh yeah.
So here I think they're really big on diversity. So diversity, inclusion, equality.
Yeah.
And you find that, and then I think it's also natural because when you come to, like, a lot of people are migrating to Canada. So here it's like what they'll call it a cultural melting pot, especially Toronto. So you find people from all around the world,
across,
India and people from Europe as well, and a lot of Nigerians.
Yeah.
And they're always big on the fact that, oh, we are different, and then they try to get to know you. And you find that during like maybe meetings, you hear them asking about, oh, how was your weekend?
Yeah.
Oh my
There's
God.
a lot of chit-chatting during
chit-chat
before and maybe like after the meeting, like after.
I think the one that used to kind of get me off like this is, how was your weekend?
Yeah.
And I literally don't have, they usually have fun things that they did over
if you
the
even
weekend,
say like
right?
my weekend was fun, they'll be like, oh, what were you up to? Like, they want to
They
know.
want to know, but in Nigeria, that was never the culture, right?
Nigeria is your colleague G that you just your weekend or your activity outside office work with, not even like meetings. Like meetings, you're talking with your VP and you're like, and they'll be like, oh, I'm moving houses, so my kitchen is this, my I'm like, oh bro, that's too much information for me.
Like they try to just make sure that everybody feels comfortable in the workplace.
Yeah, which is really good.
And then look, also digging into this matter. So you know, guys, I moved from my former workplace to Yelp. So basically, I had like a lot of one-on-ones with different people, getting to know them, and then they would ask me, "Oh, how would you like me to address you?"
Yeah.
And I'll say, "Call me Grace," or "Call me Grace Mary."
Just
and then
call you GM.
I just tell them to call me Grace or whatever they're comfortable with. And then when I did the diversity training, I then realized that that's basically another way for them to ask for your pronoun.
Oh.
And I was saying, call me Grace or call me.
You're talking about your name, not even.
So they'll say how.
She, her.
Yeah, so they have like a lot of pronouns. So it could be she, her, or he, him, right? Or they, them. And then there's Z, Z-E, and H-I-R.
What's that?
That's another like
pronoun.
Spectrum. So. And then, for me, I'll then say, call me Grace. So like when I realized, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. You're talking about meetings, yeah. Have you ever noticed, like, maybe if the speaker is talking and they cough, do you say sorry?
No, I think sorry is not.
They don't even respond to it. Oh my God, that was one of the biggest shock for me. You know, back home, if somebody just cough, like, oh sorry, like you feel like the person is under stress or the person is not alright. No, that one threw me off. Like, to some extent, I thought they were rude. That, you know, when you're, empathizing with somebody and the person is not responding to you, you're like, did you not hear the sorry I told you? They just like, it's passive. They don't even respond to it. That was very, very shocking. Now, if they cough, I just need to keep quiet. I'll just be like, cough now. Yeah. They're the ones that will not say, Sorry.
Excuse me.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So which brings us to the matter of like how polite or how nice Canadians are. So like you literally will be going on the street and maybe trying to take picture and you see someone walk up to you to offer. Like there was one day I was in Calgary and I didn't want to take pictures of myself. I was just there. I was trying to take picture of the statue or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the guy said, "Oh, do you want to take a picture?" And I was startled. I'm like, in my mind, I was calculating, "Oh, Joy, like, but this guy will take my phone."
That day we went to Niagara, where we were at that spot where that guy came and where we were taking group photos.
Yeah.
Where the guy crossed the road. He left his wife, I mean her girlfriend, and crossed the road, came to take us group pictures.
In my mind, most times I'm just like I still have that Nigerian.
Yeah.
If they take your phone and run away.
For content creators, that's a good thing. Like that's a plus for us over here.
Yeah.
Because especially if you travel solo or you just do things
Yeah, you can
solo.
just ask someone.
Yeah.
And they're really, really nice. They're always saying sorry. They're always offering to do things for you. My colleague, like fun fact, right? My colleague harvested stuff from her garden and brought for everybody in the office. Who does that? Like that is so nice. And that made me a pot of stew because I took all the tomatoes. A huge pot of stew. So yeah, Canadians are pretty nice.
Yeah. What do you think about the right of way for pedestrians, like in Canada?
As in, I stand.
See, Nigeria can never.
Of course.
Nigerian drivers.
Wait.
First of all, there's not even like zebra crossing.
No, have you seen that thing that says right of way? And then it tries to explain the right of way in Nigeria that first to get to the junction is
But here in Canada, if you're a pedestrian and you're about to cross the road, the driver literally waits. Even if there is somebody passing or not.
Yeah, and even if it's not your, like you don't have right of way, like
yeah.
Because one day I mistakenly, I wasn't paying attention and I was crossing the road even when it wasn't I didn't have the right to cross.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the guy was looking at me like, "What's wrong with this one?" But he still stopped anyway.
Yeah. Have you been in the car when Nigerians are driving in Canada?
I'll say yes.
Oh my god. They say act like, you know, they'll stop, but they'll be insulting the pedestrian. Is it pass now? I see your father's road.
There's something really interesting, guys, I want us to talk about, which is credit score.
Do you know I don't still understand that?
So me, I'm trying to get the hang of it, but for me, one of the really, really shocking things when I moved to Canada was the fact that we live in a credit society. So you can have money for all you care, but you are not going to get a house. You're not going to get, like, you're not able to buy anything because we live in, like in Canada.
You can't even book a hotel if you don't have a credit card
it's totally
in Canada.
A credit society. For example, when I wanted to rent my apartment, right, they were asking for credit score. And even like then in the credit score, they were also asking, okay, utilization, how much of the credit are you using? So if you have a credit card and you do not use the credit, then it's even good as no credit card. So you have to use it. So it's like they're literally begging you to borrow money.
Money that you have. So I was trying to book for vacation, right? And I saw that like you don't have any option. Like the only option is credit card to pay. I was like, oh my god. But see my debit card here now. Savings Oppo. Let us use this money here and pay. They said Lele is only, I think the other one was PayPal or something. But credit card, you have to have it.
A lot of businesses only take credit card.
Yeah. It's really hard to adjust to for me. And then you have to, like, I still don't even know how you calculate your credit score. It's really confusing. I mean,
for me it was really, really confusing. Even up to now, like there's some things that I do, I'm like, okay, this shouldn't bring down my credit score, but then I see it drop my credit score, I'm like, oh no.
How do you view your credit score?
So I view it on my bank app or Equifax.
Do you pay for it?
No, it's free. Or you can get Credit Karma as well.
We'll discuss this outside camera.
Okay.
Alright. But yeah.
So guys, the next thing we want to talk about is salary deductions. So for me, like the shock was really when, you know, when you negotiate your salary and you're like, okay, in your head you've calculated at the end of the month maybe you'll be receiving 2K. That's not bad. By the time you pay your rent, right, you still have something change. The first time I received my check, right, on my salary, I'm like, what happened here? There were a lot of deductions. So here in Canada, they have loads of deductions. So when you are negotiating your salary, if
you have that on back, like when you're calculating your cost of living, like a month, like how much you spend, and you're using what you're negotiating for, just use like the deductions as a yardstick. Like, okay, be like, okay, when they remove all these deductions, what am I left with?
Yeah, make sure to think about that, because when you're negotiating your salary, sometimes they just give you like a ballpark figure. You're like, whoa, you're like,
exactly, they'll deceive you.
Well, when you now receive the pay at the end of the month, you're like, what happened here? So typically they remove.
That's when it's not ringing in your brain that deductions is a lot. Like,
it's a lot. So you have like EI, which is employment insurance. You have CPP, which is like pension. So all those go to the federal government. Then you now have something that is voluntary, which is called RRSP. So usually the idea is you get that money at a later time. So when you've retired, but so usually it makes sense to actually contribute, because when you are retired, you'll be at a lower tax bracket. So when you're taking out the money, it's not you're not paying heavy tax on it. So, and then sometimes your employer also match, and when they match it, it's called DPSP. So, but when you imagine all those amounts, they take it out from your salary. And my previous place of work, they were also taking out. I had to pay a certain amount for health insurance, because I had to like upgrade what I wanted. So when I was seeing my salary at the end of the month, I'm like, oh my god. Sometimes as a Canadian, you feel like you're working for the government. And then remember we talked about Toronto, our tax is what, 13%.
13%.
So by the time they remove all that, like the end product will shock you.
It's like $500.
And also, like, talking about deductions, this is not really deduction, but cost of living. When you now receive that paycheck, right, and then you now remove your house rent.
By the time you remove house rent, if you say, this job, I'm not sure I'll look for another one.
You're wondering.
That's why most times, if you notice, people have like more than one jobs in Canada, because it's tough.
Then also imagine that some of them have bought houses and they have like recurring payments. As we said before, it's a credit society. So if you are getting a car, you can get a car and pay over 5 years. So imagine that. Okay, just let's paint the scenario. You earn your salary that comes to you after all the deductions.
Like net,
it's like, let's say 2K. Then you now pay house rent. Let's say you pay 1K for house rent. So that's what 1K left.
And you're sharing,
and you're sharing, you're not living by yourself, right? And then that 1K, you also need to pay maybe you decide to buy a car, right? You pay maybe like insurance. Hey, that's another thing. We don't have cars yet,
but we're crying like this.
If you dare have a car in Canada, you'll be paying what the like insurance. So
car insurance.
Car insurance takes like $500 if you're just coming, and depending on the kind of car you have anyway. Guys, when you come, before you buy a car, think twice. Think twice. But then also, when you're negotiating your salary, make sure you put that at the back of your mind, because the expenses are more basbos.
And why people they get credit limit of $10,000 because by the time they finish paying all their bills, no, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Tax is something else.